Back home for a few days in the old setup, giving some old school giraffe neck vibes over here. But just because we're back home doesn't mean we stop making videos. We've been doing a lot of the top 10s of positions from the 2010s. We are continuing that today by talking about the top 10 third basemen of the 2010s decade. So while this video is going to be based on my opinion, my thoughts, I want to know what you guys are thinking as well. So make sure you get in the comments down below. Give me your top 10 third basemen of the past decade. I'd love to see what you guys have. Let's see where we agree or disagree. Remember to leave a like on the video if you guys do enjoy it, as well as subscribe to the channel if you like this baseball content. Don't forget you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at GiraffeNeckMarc. Links in the description, always talking baseball over there. And without further ado, let's get going into these top 10 third basemen of the 2010s decade. Getting us started at the number 10 spot, if you watch this channel, I talk about him a lot. It's the Todd father, Todd Frazier. In the last 10 years, Todd Frazier has played for the Reds, the White Sox, the Yankees, and the Mets, averaging 24 homers, 22 doubles, and 69 RBIs a season, hitting .243 with a .320 on base, .450 slugging, and a .770 OPS. Now, of course, if you get rid of the last two seasons with the Mets, which arguably were some of his worst, his numbers get even better. Take a look at what you would consider his prime from 2012 until 2017. He was averaging 28 homers, 27 doubles, and 81 RBIs a season, with a .246 average, .322 on base, .459 slugging, and a .781 OPS. Never a guy who's hit for a high average, but he did have high power outputs, especially in Cincinnati. Played a pretty good glove at third base up until the last few years where he has declined a bit. He is a two-time All-Star, finished third in the Rookie of the Year voting in 2012. We know he won a home run derby. Frazier was able to hit the long ball at one point in his career, but for the overall 2010s decade, Todd Frazier does get inside our top 10 at the number 10 spot. At the number 9 spot, we actually have another former New York Met player. This time it's going to be Justin Turner, who comes in as the 9th best third baseman of the 2010s. Turner had a very weird start to this decade. Only played 9 games in 2010, split between the Orioles and the Mets, and then he played 3 seasons with the Mets where he wasn't a mainstay of that team. He was a platoon guy, didn't really play well, had OPSs hovering right around 700. Then he moved to the Dodgers in 2014, and that's where his career really took off. From 2014 until 2019, he's been averaging 19 homers, 28 doubles, and 64 RBIs a season, hitting .302 with a .381 on base, .506 slugging to give him an .887 OPS. That is absolutely fantastic at third base. For more than half the decade is disgusting, and that's pretty much what he's been with the Dodgers, a very underappreciated player at third base because he's not hitting 30 home runs a season like a Cody Bellinger. He's not driving in 100 runs, but his OPS continues to hover around 900, and that is great offensively, and with the glove at third base, he's very solid as well. In this decade, he's made one All-Star team, finished inside the top 10 of the MVP voting twice, and another time inside the top 15 at the 14th spot. He's won an NLCS MVP. Turner has been a mainstay and a big reason for the Dodgers' success. He comes in at number 9. For the 8th best third baseman of the 2010s decade, we're going to go to St. Louis and talk about Matt Carpenter. His rookie season was in 2012, where he had a pretty good start, 828 OPS, .294 average, .365 on base. He's always been a high on base guy, well, until last year. He followed up in 2013, leading the league in hits, doubles, runs, 873 OPS. 2014 led the National League in walks. And then 2015, we finally saw the power start to build for Matt Carpenter, where he had his first season where he hit over 11 homers. And while his average went down, his power went up big time. Overall, for the 2010s decade, Matt Carpenter's averaging 19 homers, 35 doubles a season with 3 triples and 66 RBIs, hitting .270 with a .373 on base, .463 slugging, and an .836 OPS. For those of you who want to be able to compare him to Rendon or Chris Bryant recently, in the last 5 seasons, he's averaging 25 homers, 35 doubles, and 3 triples a season with 70 RBIs, hitting .255 with a .369 on base, .480 slugging, and .849 OPS. Carpenter's a 3-time All-Star, finished inside the top 5 of the MVP voting once, inside the top 10 twice, and inside the top 15 3 times, so he went 12th, 9th, and 4th. Carpenter may not have played third base the entirety of the 2010s, which is why I drop him a little bit lower on this list, but still, overall, that was one of his main positions, probably the main position of his, and he was pretty good at it. At the number 7 spot, we're going with former Washington Nationals third baseman, now Anaheim Angel, Anthony Rendon. Also, I call them Anaheim Angels. Yeah, Los Angeles Angels. Same thing, I know. Rendon comes in at number 8 just because his production really started a little bit later in the decade, just like Justin Turner, doesn't really have a full decade of being great. Now, from 2014 until 2019, Anthony Rendon's been pretty good. He had a weird 2015 where he only played in 80 games, but even then, here's what his averages are from 2014 to 2019. 22 homers, 37 doubles, 85 RBIs, hitting .293 with a .374 on base, 500 slugging to give him an OPS of .874. You then even take a deeper look into the last 4 seasons, 26 homers, 42 doubles, 101 RBIs, .299 average with a .384 on base, 528 slugging, and 912 OPS. Anthony Rendon smacks the baseball. He is one of the best hitting third basemen in the league currently, and for the 2010s, even though his production started a little bit later, he definitely is inside this top 10. Finished inside the top 10 of the MVP voting 3 times, inside the top 5 twice, and he finished 11th in 2018. He's made one All-Star team, which won 2 Silver Sluggers, and obviously won the World Series last year with the Washington Nationals. Anthony Rendon is a great third baseman, one of the best that we've seen in the past 10 years. Rendon's really good. That's why he comes inside the top 10, even with only that short period of time being played. Just missing out on the top 5, coming in at number 6, we have got the young star of the Chicago Cubs, Kris Bryant. Now, currently, I think Anthony Rendon is the better third baseman, but when you're looking back at the decade, Kris Bryant, in my opinion, had a bigger impact, was a better player than Rendon over the entirety of the 2010s. Bryant came up in 2015 and was pretty ridiculous to start. Won the Rookie of the Year, finished 11th in the MVP that season, OPS at 850. He then followed it up in 2016, winning the MVP, and while 2017 and 18 weren't necessarily his best seasons, he was still very good. From 2015 to 2019, the entirety of his career, 5 seasons, he's averaging 28 homers, 33 doubles, and 81 RBIs a season, hitting 284 with a 385 on base, 516 slugging, and a 901 OPS, give him an OPS plus at 136. Kris Bryant is a very good player, and while I am hard on him currently, it's not necessarily because I don't think he's good, it's just because there are guys right now who are better, but when you take a look at third baseman as a whole in the 2010s, Kris Bryant is one of the best, and that's only playing 5 seasons. That's how much of an impact he's made. 3 All-Star teams, like I said, he's won MVP, finished 7th and 11th 2 other times, Rookie of the Year. It's a special player. Bryant was really good, but he just missed out on the top 5 because we really get like the cream of the crop, guys who have done it for an extended period of time. Getting the top 5 started at the number 5 spot, we've got Baltimore Orioles, Los Angeles Dodgers, San Diego Padres third baseman, Manny Machado. Probably everybody's favorite player to hate right now. Now, Machado came up in 2012, but his first full season was 2013. His hitting was still pretty decent, but not at the level that we know it is today. He was more known for his glove then. He really took off in his 22-year-old season in 2015, where he dropped 35 homers and 30 doubles for the Orioles, playing in 162 games, 861 OPS. And from then on, 2015 to 2019, his numbers have been pretty ridiculous, along with that crazy good glove at third. 35 homers a year, 32 doubles, and 94 RBIs, while also stealing 10 bases, 279 average with a 343 on base, 502 slugging to give him an OPS at 845 and OPS plus at 125. His numbers did drop off a little bit in San Diego last year, but I don't think that's indicative of the kind of player that Manny Machado is. He is too talented to be a guy with an OPS just under 800 and hitting 250. You're going to see him bounce back big time, which I realize doesn't really matter for this conversation because we are looking just at the 2010s. And when you are doing that, he's a beast. 4-time All-Star, finished inside the top 5 of the MVP voting twice, 2-time Gold Glove Award winner. We know how good that glove is. Whether you love him or hate him, you can't deny he is a good baseball player, and that's why he comes in at number 5 for me. The 4th best third baseman of the 2010s decade, played for the Tampa Bay Rays and San Francisco Giants. We're talking about Evan Longoria. Now, I think it's safe to say that Longoria's best years are behind him, but he had some really good seasons with the Tampa Bay Rays in this past decade, and that's really what's going to be carrying him. Because, I mean, last couple seasons with the Giants, we want to forget about those. In the 2010s decade, Evan Longoria is averaging 24 homers, 31 doubles, and 82 RBIs a season, hitting 265 with a 331 on base, 464 slugging, and a 795 OPS. The OPS is a little bit low for the decade, but again, kind of destroyed by some of his off seasons recently. During Longoria's prime, he was hitting about 30 homers a year, 30 doubles, playing great defense at third. The dude had a very underrated glove. He was great there, playing on some rough Tampa Bay Rays teams. They had some good ones, they had some bad ones. That's kind of how they rolled, but Evan Longoria was definitely a piece of consistency there for them at third base, playing in 160 plus games multiple times for the Rays. I feel like he's probably one of the more underappreciated third basemen of the decade, just because he did play in Tampa Bay, didn't get a lot of press. He had his really good seasons, and then he did have some off seasons. Overall, though, in this decade, he made 1 All-Star team, finished inside the top 10 of the MVP voting 3 times, won 2 Gold Gloves, never jumped off the page as the best third baseman in baseball for you, but he put together a very solid decade, which is why he comes in at 4. Now, this top 3 is where it starts to get difficult, because coming in at the number 3 spot, we've got Josh Donaldson, who played with the A's, Blue Jays, and Braves this past decade. Oh, and the Indians too. Start of the decade, a little slow. 2010, 11, and 12, Donaldson didn't do much, but then 2013 to 2017, Donaldson was on a tear. During that time, he averaged 33 homers, 32 doubles, and 98 RBIs a season, hitting 282 with a 373 on base, 524 slugging, and 901 OPS plus at 145. He had a great glove too. He was a fantastic fielder at third. 2013, he finished 4th in the MVP voting. 14, 8th. 15, he won it. 16, he finished 4th, and then 17th, he had a 22nd finish, which doesn't really matter. But there was a 4-year stretch where Josh Donaldson was a top 10 player in the American League every year. 2018, he was riddled with injuries, but then he came back last year and showed he is not done. Fantastic year with the Braves, 37 homers, 33 doubles, 94 RBIs, 259 average with a 379 on base, 521 slugging, gave him an OPS above 900, and again, he played pretty good defense at third. His arm isn't what it used to be, but he still got that glove. Overall in this decade, Donaldson's won an MVP, 3-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger. The Bringer of Rain was a beast. The Bringer of Rain showed he's back, and that's why he got paid by the Twins. He's the number 3 third baseman of the decade. Now, while I think this next player is the best third baseman in baseball currently, he just misses out on the number 1 spot for the decade, and that's Nolan Arenado. Now, there's this weird group of people that believe Nolan Arenado's overrated, you're crazy, you're wrong, because you look at his numbers and you go, oh yeah, that's right, he's ridiculous. Don't care if he plays in Coors. The numbers are nuts. Plenty of guys who played in Coors who don't put up these numbers. Came up in 2013 and really wasn't much of a hitter, honestly. Had a 706 OPS, but the next season he jumped up to an 828, and since then he hasn't looked back. His numbers are nuts. So for the entirety of the decade, including the first 2 seasons where he didn't hit for much power, he's averaging 32 homers, 36 doubles, and 105 RBIs a season, hitting 295 with a 351 on base, 546 slugging, and an 897 OPS. Get rid of those first 2 seasons, and the numbers are even crazier. He's averaging 40 homers, 38 doubles, and 124 RBIs a season. I don't care where you play, those numbers are really good for a 5-year stretch. 300 batting average, 362 on base, 575 slugging, and a 937 OPS. Combine that with his disgusting glove. It is 1B to 1A, which is Matt Chapman. They are both disgusting in the field. Arenado is really good too. Like, that is just one of the best players that we've seen in a long time. He's made 5 All-Star teams, won 7 Gold Gloves, 4 Silver Sluggers, 3 Platinum Gloves. He's finished inside the top 5 of the MVP voting 3 different times, inside the top 10 6. He's just a stud. He's the best third baseman in baseball right now, and for the entirety of the 2010s, he's number 2. He is that good. Only playing 7 years and he comes in at number 2. Because coming in at number 1, I think we all know who it's going to be. One of our favorite players to watch, a guy who enjoyed playing the game, Adrian Beltre. And he did it all in his 30s, not even his prime necessarily. Beltre retired after the 2018 season, so we're looking at his numbers from 2010 to 18, where he averaged 25 homers, 32 doubles, and 89 RBIs a season, hitting 307 with a 358 on base, 514 slugging, and 872 OPS. He did that for an entire decade. That is pretty unbelievable. He had a great glove in the field, hit for power, hit for average, got on base at a pretty decent mark. Adrian Beltre, for me, is definitely the best third baseman of the decade. He made 4 All-Star teams, finished inside the top 10 of the MVP voting 5 different times, won 3 Gold Gloves, 3 Silver Sluggers, led the league in hits in 2013, led the league in doubles in 2010. Get rid of his last season in 2018, his OPS is almost at 900 at 883, batting average well above 300, on base well above 350. Adrian Beltre was a complete player. He pretty much just lacked the speed, which who cares? When you're hitting and playing the field like he does, you got no complaints with Adrian Beltre, and this was all during his age 30 years, not even necessarily his prime. So for me, Adrian Beltre is without a doubt the clear-cut number 1 choice as the best third baseman of the 2010s decade. So those are my top 10 third basemen of the 2010s decade. I'd love to know what you guys think about it down in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me see your list. I want to see what you think. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like on it. That's the best way to show your support on the channel, as well as subscribe if you are new and you enjoy baseball content. This is the place you want to be subbed. Remember to check me out on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. Everything's in the description down below, GiraffeNeckMarc. And that is where I'm going to wrap up today's video. You guys know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this one right here, as well as this is my most recent upload. So click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate you, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another video. Bye!